Hello, my fellow readers. It is I, Dark Symphony 777, with another fanfiction review. As always, a link to the story will be in the description below. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, click on that bell for notifications, leave a comment in the comment section below on your thoughts of the story, and finally, listen to my opinion. My opinion is not indicative of everyone in the world, so please respect that. So, the story I am doing a review of is Total Drama X Ultimate Island by the new Subway guy. It is a Total Drama X over crossover, and oh boy, where do we begin? We're off to a very interesting start of 2025. Oh God. Oh God. Uh, Fun fact: I'm actually recording this on December 11th, but I wanted to get it ahead of time, and uh, just pain. The story is pain. So much pain. You know, breathe in, breathe out. So, what is this story about? So, let's start with the plot. So, there's two ways to start to describe this plot. There is the macro, and there is the micro. In the macro sense, this is just a total drama season. No ifs, ands, or buts. There is a competition. There is plenty of drama. Consider the fact that Total Drama is a parody of an actual reality show, Survivor specifically, competition. It makes sense. That is on the macro. That's on the macro. The micro, like once you dig deep, like a little bit deeper into, like, oh, there has to be more to it than that, than just a normal season. It's not. Instead, it's a supersized season. 128 characters. Joy. Oh, there's plenty of stuff going. Oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't finish the story. I want to get this out. I want to get this off my chest before continuing the review. I didn't finish this story. I couldn't. I tried my damned hardest to. I got pretty far. I got all the way. Where is it? I got around here. I got all the way to chapter to the 80s chapter, and I just gave up because it was that bad. I I know I didn't want to start this review like this, but it's been just in my mind. Once I gave up, it's like because it, and I'll discuss what's wrong with this story as we go along. But I wanted to get this off my chest. This story is not good. The author told me this story is not good, so I walked into this story not expecting something to be on the level of like what I think are like the best three total drama crossover fics would be Total Drama Endless, Total Drama Bon Voyage, and Total Drama Cruise. Although Cruise would probably be number 2, and Bon Voyage would be number 3. Those would be my 3 favorite of these types of fics. I wasn't expecting quality. I wasn't expecting something amazing. I was like, okay, so maybe with something, anything I could find enjoyable. I couldn't even find that. There are some moments of good in it. They're very minor. They're just so buried in one. There's a bunch of problems. There's so many problems with this story, but the big one, I want to at least talk about the big one a little bit later. Okay, but just know, sorry, Subway. I apologize for having started this way, but I just really need to get off my chest. In the micro, of this story, the Ultimate Islands is trying to do something. It is trying to do something at least somewhat unique. So it has a big cast, 128 characters. It has a pretty unique settings. I believe the settings are actually the entirety of all the islands that are based around Wawanakwa, because I believe Wawanakwa is based off a real island, but it's actually a series. No, I'm actually curious. Let me double check. I want to double check real quick. Give me a second. Okay, I double checked. No such place exists. That's an error on my part. at least, at least I am willing to admit I goofed up. I legit thought that there was like a series of islands in like near the eastern part of like eastern part of Canada. I think part of Ontario. That that's like in between Canada, like that part of Canada, and like Iceland and Greenland or something like that. I'm willing to admit it, I'm wrong. Anyway, so this is basically a series of islands that are actually interlocked, and all the islands are actually themed after. I'll have themes like you have the main island, which is basically the McLean Resort. Ta-da! On one island, you have a small island that's basically a junkyard. You have another island that's basically Bonnie Island. You have another island that is, I think, Hakatu Island, I believe. How do you spell it? More likely, there's also like Wawanakwa. I didn't get far enough. I didn't get far enough to know if they actually visit Wawanakwa. They visit Hakatu Island a couple times, but they don't visit Wawanakwa, so I'm not 100% sure. And probably more smaller islands that are all themed after different things. It's actually a pretty unique location. Usually, when I see these crossover total dramas, they usually say the whole thing at Wawanakwa, or they do they take some kind of vehicle and they just travel through the multiverse. So having at least a somewhat unique location is like, that's not bad. Yeah, I'm willing to take that. Also, another point in this story's favor is the challenges. Instead of doing like normal challenge, like random challenges that kind of at least reference. Well, there's challenges that reference total drama. They're called the throwback challenges, but all the challenges are actually based off stuff, are actually themed. And I think that's actually a nice touch. All the challenges are actually themed off of stuff you would do at a resort, which is kind of, as far as I could tell in the story, like Chris McLean is just honestly just trying to set up the resorts, and he's just using the challenges as like an excuse to kind of like, oh, here you go, here, just have fun and do all these things that I'm probably gonna plan on doing for the resort when it fully opens. Like you have the sleep, like you have you have the cooking stuff. So you probably there's probably gonna be an area that cooks. There's the cliff diving. Cliff diving, very normal thing you do at like a vacation resort, sort of like Bora Bora and stuff like that. All of the games all the challenges are based off video games, which was as far as I can remember, there was the Among Us one. That's obviously that can replicate like a group activity, like it's a resort. There are going to be group activities. Smash Brothers. There's probably like there could be like a small tournament scene. There's one more, the Mario Party, like board games and stuff like that, or mini games. There's the fact that the author took his time to do like challenges that are more based off resort or more resort themed. I know there's like one challenge is the spiritual challenge where they have to get like stuff from spirits and get chased by them. That doesn't really fit resorts, although it could probably spit into like mysticism sort of deal. Like, oh, some resorts are like haunted and stuff like that. Okay, so you can, or you can do like mystery theater. I mean, mystery dinners, like where they do dinner and a show. that can work. That you do that at resorts and stuff like that. So I at least appreciate the author having at least something creative when it comes to the challenges by having them all themed around the resort. I think it's a nice touch. However, other than that, there's not much going on. It's the most bare bones plot of any of these total drama fics. Like, bar none. It is bare bones. All of these types of now, all these types of stories, all these types of total drama stories, they tend to always have some kind of side plot, whether it like all these plots kind of intersect into the main plot. There's other characters kind of doing their own thing. This one doesn't have it. At best, it has Basil Baker Street. Also, quick shout out for Great Mouse Detective representation. That's cool. I love that movie. And he has like a little side plot where he's trying to expose the coachman from Pinocchio's evil plan. However, that doesn't work because the coachman doesn't try to hide the fact he's evil. Everyone kind of knows he's evil, so it's like, why is the author doing a plot that's based around the detective trying to reveal the villain who's not even trying to hide the fact that he's a villain, his evil deeds? Like, he's not trying to like pretend to be evil. No, he's just plain as day evil. Like, everyone could tell. Oh, this guy's evil. And it's just like, what's the point of this plot then? It's artificial drama and sort of deal. And that kind of comes with the next problem I have, which is the roster. I don't have a problem with doing a bigger roster. That's not going to be the only total drama crossover fic I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be doing another one later. But that one has 56 characters and is as long as this. Now, you're wondering, what does X have to do with Y? Length plus the amount of characters you use. Usually, when you want to do any sort of fan fiction that's based off a competition show, whether it be Survivor, The Mole, Amazing Race, so on and so forth, they have to abide by certain rules. And one of those rules is you have to try and balance how long you're going to make the story by how many characters you have competing. So, for instance, with The Mole, you usually want to have around 10 characters. Why? Because you have to incorporate a lot of the Mole's elements into the fan fiction, like visual play, sound play, word play, to try and give you that sense of immersion into the fan fiction, so you can play along with the contestants and trying to figure out who the mole is, but also so that way you get that sense of competition. There's not too many characters, so that way you get introduced to each character individually. You get to see what they're up to, get to see how they behave, and you can easily tell that all of them have a legitimate shot. Same thing with Survivor. Same thing with Amazing Race. Depending on what type of these competition shows you want to do, you have to incorporate how many characters you plan on having in the competition, combined with how long you have to make the story. The more characters you add, the longer your story has to be. Now, the author did understand this. 128 characters is massive, but 778,000 words is not long enough for just the sheer number of characters. There are parts of the story where characters just disappear, and they appear chapters later wondering, hey, wait a minute, I'm still here. Why am I need to do something. and then they get eliminated and just kind of tossed off. You need some kind of equalizer. That means you need to make the story longer to accommodate those characters. Now, Total Drama is a unique situation because it's not a competition. It's a cartoon parody of a competition, i.e., Survivor. So it has to qualify for more storytelling beats that befit a cartoon. Hence why you look at like story beats in like other fan fiction. You have the whole Lamine Nemoria storyline from Infinite. You have the whole thing in Infinite One with Katakuri getting shy with revealing his face. The entire Bernadetta storyline. These types of things that separate Total Drama from other fanfiction. You need to find a way to mix the competition aspect with the storytelling aspect that Total Drama requires. For something like The Mole, you need to focus almost exclusively on the competition aspect. You can have a little time with the characters and storytelling, but the primary focus of those types of stories is the competition. If you can't make the competition realistic and you can't make everyone kind of have as good a shot as any to kind of give you that sense of adrenaline, that sense of that building sense of drama of wanting them to see who you think is going to win, and then when they get eliminated, you get crushed. It breaks these types of stories. Total Drama is pretty much in the middle. You need to have that sense of drama and build up and climax and have it just repeat over and over of the competition, but you also need to have the storytelling beats of a traditional story. That's what makes these Total Drama fics so interesting. That's what makes them so fun. And and having too many characters with not enough time to properly build them up, even if you're going to get rid of some characters like quickly, because this story, every time there's an elimination, instead of one character getting eliminated, it's like 4 or 5 or 6. A lot of characters get eliminated at once. To kind of keep up with that, it still doesn't hide the fact that there simply is not enough story to tell these types of characters. There's not enough story to kind of tell any sort of stories that you want to do, and the only story that you do try to do is something that's just completely redundant and is just there for the sake of being there. That being said, let's move on to the characters. There are some characters I like. I like Dante. I think he's an interesting character. I did spoil myself because once I realized I'm not going to be able to finish it, I skipped to the end to find out who won. Dante, not the worst choice because at least he had something of a storyline. By the time I quit, he was like in a little money storyline where he's just trying to like, I'm gonna win. Coach been playing me for a fool. I'm playing. No. That was something in my throat. And Dante just basically wanted to get his groove back. It's like it's something. It's not really deep or interesting, but it's something. I can at least tolerate that of Dante winning because at least the author was doing something with him storyline wise. I actually like Coachman. I think Coachman was a pretty interesting villain compared to a lot of Total Drama crossover fics where the villain tends to be like very sneaky. Like you have Non-Mom, you have Dio Brando, you have Light Yagami, who's basically like a very manipulative character. It's very refreshing to see Coachman just be this in your face, like I'm evil and I know it character. He's also very entertaining where he's like, especially compared to like other villains, especially in the early chapters, where instead of like Heather or any of the other villains who like they use subterfuge. No, he just wins. Like this guy just solos the challenges by himself. And he's like, okay, I'll show you how it's done. And he just basically wins the challenges by himself. Like, ha! It gave the sense that he's an actual threat, even with like the very, very wonky writing. because of the sense that the author is giving time to like build him up as a threat. They give him like they have him legitimately win. They make sure he knows he has a target on his back. He knows everyone else knows he has a target on his back. So he's basically playing within the rules. So it's like, oh, this challenge requires me. Oh, I know I'm going to get out. I'll get it. I got an immunity idol. This challenge actually works to my benefit. No, instead of like cheating or anything, I'm just gonna straight up win the challenge. So that way you can't even try to get rid of me, and he does. It is very interesting. I don't know when he goes out after this, after the Smash Brothers challenge, but I know like near the end he was like starting to flounder. He was like starting to flounder because the challenges were starting to get out of his depth. I think that's a really nice touch of instead of losing because of like subterfuge or like his own ego or something like backfiring him. More likely he loses because the challenges just genuinely proved to be too much for him. I think that would be a nice touch if that turns out to be the truth. Author, if it or anyone who read this story to the end, let me know. I'm actually genuinely curious on how he loses. Azula, I think Azula was pretty funny. She was a good villainous foil to the other two coachmen. She's basically very hammy and bombastic. She's not the best character, but it could be worse. Riley Freeman, at least like I think he's like the most accurate character to his canon counterparts. I think he's like the most like the character closest to how he's supposed to act in the show. Also, side note, I just want to bring this up. Why did the author decide to randomly bring up the way Riley Freeman says that word and using the excuse of I'm black, so I can type this out? He's from the Boondocks. Everyone says that word, even the white people. I don't even like the show, and I know that. All you need to do, look up stink meaner clips. The guy says that word freaking every sentence. Even I think like the most popular meme from that show, the whole when Ruckus holds up the book to like a possessed Duar, he basically said, "Read word, read." Ah! I don't know why. Like, if he wanted to say like an author's note, that I wouldn't have. I actually wouldn't have a problem with that. It's like okay, it's the people who are like, oh, why are you having Riley? It's like okay, in the author. Oh, he randomly puts an author's note in the middle of the chapter to say it. That's why I'm complaining about this, because he just put it in like the weirdest spot possible. Or hell, he could have just said the characters from the Boondocks. Everyone says that word in that show. Everyone. Any other characters? I would have liked Basil if his storyline wasn't so redundant. I think he was all right. I actually liked the I liked the romance between Pit and Miko. They didn't really have it was kind of it was sudden, but it was like that sudden like, oh, we're not in love, kiss me sort of deal. Unlike the other two romances, which just comes flat out of nowhere, especially like Samus and Snake. That one just randomly. That one doesn't even get like built up. It just randomly happens. Bernadette Von Barley and Ryu Pompadour. This ain't. I fucking forgot his name. Oh boy. Any other characters? There's so many characters. Oh, heavy from Team Fortress 2. I think he was all right. I think he currently I think he's like next to Riley. He's probably like the most accurately written character. But unlike the Boondocks, which I actually vehemently hate. I liked Heavy. I like Team Fortress 2. It's goofy. I like it. I am heavy. Wait a minute. I got it. Hold on.
I am heavy weapons guy. And this is my weapon.
It makes just Heavy's alright. Uh, anyone else? Uh, no? Oh, okay. So here's another. Okay, so moving on from the good and going into the bad. Here's another thing I don't like about the story. Too many characters are just blatant copies of one another. There's too many. There's so many characters that are just oh, here's like a character arc, a character archetype. Here's another character with an archetype. Here's another character with an archetype. Usually, when you want to do at least like total drama fix, at least because I've read enough total drama fix to kind of key into this, you want all the characters to be in like specific archetypes. There's a reason why instead of doing like normal characters, total drama, like specifically total drama island, all the characters were stereotypes. They were all stereotypes of real world common character archetypes. You had Gwen the goth, uh, Jeff the frat boy. You had Duncan the delinquent. You had Heather the queen bee bully. Uh, the Courtney is technically what's called a Type A, which is like a teacher spectator character. Justin, like the supermodel. Ezekiel, the homeschool boy. Bridget, the sports chick. Cody is just the guy. He's just the normal guy. He's just the guy next door. Sort of like the lonely nerd thing. Now Harold's the nerd. Lindsay's the bimbo because of course she is. Hey, blonde hair, blue eyes, gigantic chest, dumb as a brick, bimbo. Just look at that. Just look at that body of hers. Uh, the Beth, I think. No, Noah's the book nerd. Beth is, I think, the socially awkward kid. They're all stereotypes. So usually when you want to do a total drama fic, you usually want to have characters with distinct personalities so that way they can bounce off each other. By having too many characters that kind of fit the same niche, that causes unnecessary padding because now you gotta trim the fat, but you can't do that because you at least have to try and show off each characters to at least give the illusion, or at least attempt to give the illusion, that some of them may actually win, which causes a feedback loop because there's just so many characters. This causes characters to spend a long time in the background. Like the other finalists. Who are the other finalists in this story? Well, there's Dante, who wins. There's Pitt. He was mostly a background character. Uravity from My Hero Academia, because I'm not saying her actual name because I don't think I can pronounce it. She was in the background, and also Nicole Watterson, who was more or less a background character as well. So you had 3 background characters versus Dante Reno from Devil May Pasta. It wasn't a fair competition. This was like Wendy versus Edward Ulrich from Infinite One levels of Curb Stomp, because it was so like the moment I saw Dante was gonna win it, that Dante one is like, yeah, that makes so much sense. Once I saw who the other finalists was, because it's like background, actual man, technically one of the main characters of the story, alongside Coachman, Basil, and Azula. Okay, good. Not only that, is you have a lot of characters that just don't do anything. I understand that all these types of total drama fan fictions tend to have fodder. That's common. every single one of these total drama fics, whether it be a crossover fic or in the main site, there's always going to be fodder. I am completely fine with that. I have gotten used to that. That is just something that is going to happen whether you want to or not. Do you want to know how far we have to get to before we get rid of the fodder? Give me a second. Right here. Right when I gave up is when the last of the fodder characters were cut. Which was the last of the fodder characters, which I believe was Darkness. Darkness was the very last fodder character. Do you see what chapter this is? That is just nothing. And even then, just there's just I don't I don't I don't know. I honestly don't I don't know. So we move to the grammar. There's a lot of grammar errors. There's also a lot of wording errors. I will say that it's it's not as big as like this is more of a connection to the main issue. I'm gonna get to in like a minute. But there is an annoying habit where the author would randomly switch between using the character's first name and then the character's full name. And it's just like paragraph. Like you can see a character losing their like he writes the first name of the character in like one paragraph and then he used the full name in another paragraph, like a couple sentences down. It's annoying. The only one that gets a pass on this is Squiggly because he doesn't use the character's full name, Sienna Contiello, only twice. And after that, he pretty much just sticks to either calling her Squiggly or Sienna, which are both true. Squiggly, like Sienna's her real name. Squiggly is just what she's called in Skullgirls. So there's that. But I'm willing to give a pass on that on her. But everyone else, it's so weird to see like characters just randomly in the sentence getting called by their first name and then called by their full name like a couple sentences later. It's just out of place. It's random. Other than that, there are some. Excuse me. There are some random grammar errors here or there. Not completely. It's mostly just the naming convention. That's just really problem. Uh, but now we get to the big one, the pacing, or should I say, the consistency in this case. Oh, this story's consistency. This has to be the most inconsistent story I've ever read. I have officially reviewed over 500 fics. And more before I even started the channel. I don't think I've ever come across a fanfiction more inconsistent than this. It is quite honestly such a weird situation. How how bad how you want to know how bad the consistency is? The author, we don't even have to go that far. We can just go right here. So, where is he? Yeah. Let's see. Where is he? Yep, there it is. Dante, one of the first four characters introduced in the story, right here, and then he just disappears to the very end, and he just gets off the boat again. I can even show you that. Yeah. Okay. I can literally show you that. I think it's yeah, I think it's here. Um, for Daniel, this is yeah to Daniel the papyrus. Tiny Tina, Squirrel Girl. Let's see, Lane, Giovanni, Deadpool, Hishenko, Pepper. Uh, where is he? Oh, Panchito, Noel. No, wait, no, that's this one. It's the previous one. Yeah, yeah, you're seeing. Yeah, I am going. I am walking, going to show you this. Let's see. Where is he? Let's see. Amaru, Snake. Ah, yes. Chris McLean. I'm trying to sneak around, but I'm dummy thick. Let's see. Mystique Sonia, Shulk, Tron, Julia, Nicole. Where the fuck is he? Yeah, Squiggly. Yeah, here's Squiggly. Squiggly is your real name. Yep, yep. Yeah, that's because her name is Sienna. Shit. Where is he? Where the fuck is he? He's somewhere. He shows up somewhere. I will fucking find him. Let's see. Uh, yeah, here he is. No, that's Coachman. That's Coachman. Oops, my bad. Penny Proud, Satori, Sammy, Daphne, Owen, Dawn. Yeah, but okay. So I couldn't find him, but he does show up in one of these other stories, just one of these other chapters, just randomly. I don't. That's just the tip of the iceberg. There are times where characters get eliminated in a challenge, and then the next sentence they pretty much are not eliminated from the challenge. There's an overuse of characters calling each other cool or awesome or saying "fuck around and find out." There's an overuse of like I said, samey characters. The pacing is just way too fat, like way too fast for what's essentially all of these characters. um, there's just all of most of the issues just comes down to the inconsistency. It's just and that's ultimately what got me to give up the story. I got so tired of the repetitive sentence structure, the repetitive characters, the inconsistency of what the fuck is happening, the general feeling of nothingness that's happening in the story. Uh, it's just it's, it's just staggering how the author thought to not proof. Honestly, the fact I'm surprised the author didn't have a proofreader, or probably didn't go back and check the chapters for like any errors. There's like that's that's something most authors should at least try to do if they're going to do something this long. But it's just I don't know. I just give I just I tried. I really did try to get through the story. It proved to be too much for me with how many errors there were. It broke me. It broke me. It legitimately broke me. Would I recommend this story? No, I can't. I I can't. There are some good moments in the story, but they're just so overshadowed by so much horrible stuff that happens throughout the story. I can't. I just can't. Favorite part? I don't really. I don't have a favorite part. I'm sorry. Just don't. What would I? What would I change?
Now, I tell you what, I like you and I want you. Now, we can do this the easy way or we can do it the hard way.
There are two ways to look at this. We can look at it the easy way or the hard way. The easy way, if the author is not going to like do a hard reset on the story, fix the inconsistencies. I can, fine. If you want to keep a lot of the characters samey, fine. If you want to keep the challenges, which are pretty samey themselves, fine. It'll just fix the inconsistencies. Would that make me recommend the story? No, but it would go a long way in arguably fixing the biggest issue. Like there's a bunch of smaller issues that are just as big as the inconsistencies, but the inconsistencies are just so massive before I can even suggest, oh, here's a bunch of the smaller things you can fix. The consistency issue needs to be fixed first. That is priority number one. Now, the hard way. A massive rewrite. Fix the characters. You could either cut a lot of the characters, probably cut them in half, make it 64 instead of 58, or you make the story longer and to try and account for every single character. If you want to do the multiple elimination things, that's fine. I can buy that. I can buy the whole supersizeness of it. I can get behind the multiple eliminations. Probably if someone actually gets eliminated, don't bring them back because honestly, you already have a large enough cast. You don't need to add any more characters or bring back other characters. Uh if you want to keep Dante as the winner. I think, like I said, I think he's fine enough. Uh, but ultimately, you need if you do the hard way, this story needs just a complete and utter rewrite. It needs to be longer to accompany all the characters. You need to give a large amount of characters something to do. Hell, you can eat like even if it's like store like uh even if the arcs are like very small, like an episode or two long before they go, at least give the characters something to do. Like I don't know, have Sienna and Hishenko kind of bond over the fact that they're technically zombies. Granted, Hishenko's more of a Jiangxi, i.e., Chinese vampire than a zombie, so. But she still technically counts as undead. If you learn Hishenko's lore, she technically is dead. Or you can have Basil. Honestly, just have Basil. You know what? I actually thought of an idea. An interesting way to incorporate Basil's storyline more naturally is when you have the characters, like so you have multiple characters getting eliminated. Have the coachman sneak on, like be the one who's piloting the ships, and so when they leave, he basically takes them, turns them into donkeys, and locks them up to be sold. So that way, whether or not he wins or loses, he's still gonna get something out of it because I can just take these characters who are like now hopeless donkeys, sell them. I'm gonna make money off it anyway. And no, I guess what? No one's gonna stop me except Basil of Baker Street as he tries to figure out what's going on with the coachman. You can easily like lay the trail of like Basil. You probably would have to make the finale. If you do it this way, you probably have to make at least near the finale Coachman versus Basil. I'm still fine with like Dante making the win. Like Basil, like you can go like the whole Basil. He's on vacation. He did he solved the case. He kind of like I don't need the money. You could probably have him in the finale against Dante. Like you have so that way you give like the impression that Dante has someone who actually is built up to kind of win. But okay, so go back to the story. You have Basil trying to find, like, he suspects something. His detective senses are tingling, and he decides to go undercover. Like he does the whole thing instead of like huffing and puffing to coaches. It's like, I'm keep my eye on you. Have him be like, oh, I'm on vacation, so I want. It's like anything, and you can still have Coach and be like the obnoxiously evil, but you can have Basil have, his detective senses are tingling that Coachman's hiding something. Like, okay, we know he's evil. Like, he's not hiding. Coachman's not hiding that he's evil, but you still got that sense, and you can do like at the end of every episode, you kind of have him get like some of the other contestants. You have Storm Shadow kind of get involved since he's a ninja. You can also have Snake get involved as they're trying to like figure out what it is. And as the story goes along, they kind of get more and more pieces. You can have that real mystery element to it. Like, and eventually they find out that Coachman is possessed, like turning all these people into donkeys. You could even incorporate like a small fight scene where like they have to fight, where Coachman tries to do his powers, but like probably like like one of them, like you can do like Snake being like immune to it, because Snake's seen some shit. Let's be honest. He's seen enough shit. He could probably be immune to like turning into a donkey. Donkey. And they kick Coachman's ass. Probably the end result of that would probably be Coachman would have to be disqualified, because now he's directly interfering with the eliminated contestants. So it'd be something for Basil to do. You can even incorporate Clover. Honestly, you can even throw in like a reference to like Totally Spies being like a fetish show, like her turning into like an animal person again, like what happened in that one episode where she turned into a cat. No, seriously, that actually happened in Total Spies. Turned into a cat. Totally Spies is kinky. I don't explain it. Don't explain the joke. But there is a lot of stuff you can pull with this story, if at the very least the consistency issues are fixed. I may come back if the consistencies issues are fixed. I may come back and finish the story to see how everything kind of handles. But as it stands right now, I can't even. I can't finish it. Like, it's such a shame, because I thought, like I said, it has an interesting setup. It has an interesting, like, the challenges are themed, the location's unique. I like some of the characters. It's just the consistency issues are just so monumental that it just got crushed under it. I am sorry, Subway guy, for this, but I don't really have anything more to say. I hope you don't take this too harsh. So that is my review of Total Drama X Ultimate Islands. This has been Dark Symphony 777, and